Although HTML doesn't get as much attention as CSS when responsive design is discussed, how you structure your HTML is just as important as how you author your styles. Without carefully planning and structuring your code, you'll never be able to create the flexible layouts you'll need for a successful responsive design. In many ways, your HTML needs to be just as flexible as your styles. If you plan for your sidebar content to reflow a certain way on smaller screens, your page structure needs to be constructed in a way that's going to allow it. Obviously, this means that your planning process has to consider both the needs of your code structure and your styling requirements simultaneously, which may require you to alter your existing workflow. For environments where the page structure is driven by a CMS or is locked in due to other factors, you could find yourself limited in terms of your ability to reflow content. If that's the case, you may have to rework your entire process or find ways to make a responsive design work within your constraints. While every project is different, there are a couple of basic things that you can do to help ensure your HTML will work well with responsive designs. First and foremost, you should focus on writing clean code without extraneous markup. That really should be the goal of all web design, but it's especially important for responsive designs, as cluttered code can make writing multiple layout styles cumbersome. I also recommend that you adopt HTML5 if you haven't already. Not only is the authoring process simpler, but it also requires less overall code, which in turn creates more lightweight pages. It also gives you the added benefit of increased semantics. In responsive design, it's very important that content be easily identifiable and clearly segmented. HTML5's structural elements, such as article, aside, nav, and section, help you structure your content in a more meaningful way. If you haven't yet, you also need to start exploring microformats as a way of adding even more meaning to your code. Not only will they extend your content and make it more searchable, they'll also give you a way to group content together in a more granular fashion and provide you with content-specific styling hooks. As you begin to create more meaningful code, be sure to create standards for how specific content types and regions are structured. By thinking through these structures early in the process and making sure that you write consistent code throughout your site, you're going to make the process of writing responsive styles a lot easier. It's entirely possible that adopting responsive design will force you to rethink the way you structure your HTML. Over time, it's really easy to get in the habit of coding the same repeating structure over and over again. How many times have you created a basic page structure that includes a header at the top with navigation, a main article to hold the main content, a sidebar for related content, and a footer at the bottom? This structure works fine for the well-established pattern of a 2 or 3 column layout. However, for content that needs to reflow in a specific way or even merge as page sizes change, this structure might be entirely too rigid. Making sure that your HTML provides the necessary page structure while giving you the freedom to reflow content correctly is one of the major challenges of responsive design. One way that you can make this a little bit easier is to start thinking of content as discrete chunks of code. Creating smaller sections of content can provide you with modular content blocks that are easier to manipulate over multiple layouts. Now, don't take this approach too far. The last thing you want to do is have your layout dictate your code structure. Occasionally, you'll have to make certain trade-offs in order to reach the best solution given the goals of your layout. Just make sure that you never sacrifice accessibility for layout. In some cases, you simply won't be able to arrive at a structure that will work for all of your responsive layouts. At that point, you either have to reassess your page layout goals, or you can turn to scripting for help. Scripting can be used to replace content, generate content, or even move content on the fly as conditions change. Let's say you have a long vertical menu that would take up too much space on mobile screens. You could simply dynamically replace it on smaller screens with a select menu. For instances where page structure prevents you from reflowing content properly, you could create empty placeholder elements for specific content chunks, and then use scripting to fill them with the appropriate content based on the desired layout flow. And this is the approach that the Filament Group uses for their Append Around component, which you can find at their South Street GitHub repository. So yes, obviously scripting can be very effective at solving tricky structural issues. I would caution you, however, not to rely too heavily on scripting for modifying page structure. It usually requires at least some extraneous markup and can really slow page load times, in some cases dramatically. Now, there will be times where it's the right solution, but if you can achieve the same results without using it, you're better off. Of course, this entire discussion ignores the bigger issue, which is that current CSS layout techniques are not suited for responsive design. Float-based layouts are directly tied to source order, making it almost impossible to dramatically reorder elements from one screen size to another. Thankfully, CSS is evolving as well. Be sure to keep your eye on the W3C's flexible box model, otherwise known as Flexbox, and on the CSS Grid template layout module. Now, both of these layout modules promise a degree of source order independence. Once they're fully implemented across major browsers and devices, it will be much easier to create responsive design layouts from well-structured HTML.